And hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Advanced Monday Afternoon Live Stream. I'm your host, Peter, and we're joined this week by Maria.
Hello, I'm glad to be back today talking about AI, how often we use it, what we use it for, but also the different things you need to keep in mind when using AI.
Yes, terrific summary of our day here with you, Maria. And thank you for all joining us here. We are pivoting off of, as always, an article in your trusty Advanced magazine. Here is the February issue. It's a new month already, soon to be a new year. And our February issue of Advanced this week has an article, our education article. AI tools are damaging students' critical thinking. So this is a sort of provocative and opinionated article that you'll want to read to understand more about the effect that AI is having on schools and students and learning. Very interesting material there. So got us thinking about AI, and we thought let's give you all some vocab about generally using AI, how to use it well, like Maria was saying, and give you a chance, as always, to grow in your English. But let's start off with our poll question, Maria. What's our poll question this week?
The question is, how often do you use AI? We have a few options. There's at least once a day, a few times a week, a few times a month, or Google's fine for me.
Right. And by that, we know Google uses AI now. Yes, I used it myself this morning. But by this, we mean Google, old school Google, where it would just give you the links about your topic and you would do the investigation and such. So that's what we mean by that.
Yeah, so if you click Google's fine for me, then you'd be the type of person where after you put in a question or searching for something, you skip over the AI answer part and try to do a deeper dive for your own answer.
Right. So, Maria, how often do you use AI?
I use it at least once a day. So I will use AI sometimes for cooking if I wanted just a quick recipe and then I want to ask AI, hey, can I replace this with something else? I found out that AI is pretty helpful. Sometimes I'll use it to give me ideas for things
Mm.
or suggestions. It's been pretty helpful for me so far.
Does AI have a good sense of taste and preparing meals and such? Have you had success?
Yes. I mean, I'm trying to be more specific. So I will tell it exactly what I'm looking for. So if I want something more fancy, not as basic, then I will be sure to write that in the prompt.
Good, good. Yes, that foreshadows one of our vocab words today, which we'll get to in just a moment. But first, Tifa168, hello again. Nice to have you back with us. And Steve, good afternoon to you. Tifa uses Grok and ChatGPT. Great. Thank you. Let us know again in the poll question, all of you who are watching, totally anonymous, the poll question. You can let us know how you really feel about AI, how often you use it. For myself, yeah, I would say it's a few times a week to at least once a day. At least once a day if you count Google, which I do in this case for the Google AI feature of Google. I use that several times a day, probably just to look up random stuff. But like using Chat GPT, sitting down and giving it a particular prompt for a particular thing, or Claude or Pandora or Perplexity or whatever they're called, Grok. That's probably more like a few times a week. But I mean, it's getting harder and harder not to use AI because it's become more intertwined with our
Yes.
lives these days, isn't
That's
it?
true. They can be used for many things. Some things can generate pictures or text, videos. They can do things very quickly, but it is important to check AI's work.
Yes, and that's a great lead into our first vocab word for you today. It's one you might have heard of before AI, but certainly since we've had AI, I'm sure this word has come up. So let's give it to you. Plagiarism. 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 Maria, what are we talking about?
Yes, plagiarism is where you use someone else's work without giving credit. So before in the past, whenever we talked about the word plagiarism, that would be if you were quoting someone maybe from a book or what someone said and you didn't say what the source was. But now it is also pretty easy to plagiarize with AI because if you use what it gives you and don't give the credit, then that could be easily be plagiarizing.
Exactly. Something my wife does when she uses AI for some of her scholarly research is she will ask AI a question, get the answer, get a good detailed answer, and then as a follow-up, she'll say, can you give me like 2 or 3 sources that you used to get that answer? So that when she then presents the information in whatever context she's going to, people won't get the mistaken idea that that's all her own original research, but here's the sources that she used, or here's the sources AI used in helping her get that information.
That's
Because,
smart.
yeah, plagiarism is still plagiarism. Just because AI is everywhere nowadays and access to all this information, still some person did the original research. And if we use it, we need to say, hey, this isn't my research, this is from that person or that magazine or that source. So, plagiarism.
Yes, that is a good point because when I answered the connection between plagiarism and AI, I was thinking more in terms of what AI creates, but it is true that AI will use different people's their information, what they came up with, but not give them the credit. So by using what AI gave you, you might accidentally be using someone else's work.
Yes. So, plagiarism, beware of it. It's always out there. But something else to also beware of, we're kind of starting with the cautionary aspects of using AI. Here's another word for you, discreet. discreet, discreet. Something to keep in mind when we're using AI. And Maria, why is that?
Yes, well, when you're discreet, you kind of choose between what information you're giving, what things you're saying, and maybe if you're not discreet when using AI, you might give it too much information, maybe personal information about yourself, and you definitely don't want to do that.
Right, because AI keeps it all. It doesn't forget anything. There's an expression just before AI came around. Maybe some of you have heard of it. Online is forever, and they used to say that about using the internet generally and
Mhm.
about the data of your life that you share on the internet, on social media, specifically. That it stays there. It's still accessible these days, usually by AI. So be discreet, be wise, be careful
Careful.
about
Yeah.
how much you share with AI because that data is retained somewhere in a data center somewhere. You know that it doesn't just disappear from AI's mind like it does from my mind when I'm talking to someone.
Yes. So if you're trying to figure out if a certain information is appropriate or good to put into AI, then just ask yourself if you want it out there forever or not. And if not, then be discreet and don't put it into the prompt.
Right. Be discreet, be selective about what you give. Here's another one that is more related back now to plagiarism. You might know this one already. Cross-reference. 2 words, hyphen, cross-reference. Maria?
Yes, this is an important one. Cross-reference is where you check other sources to make sure that what was given you is correct. So, well, as probably you already know, I'm guessing our friends, a lot of them use AI. Sometimes the facts that they give aren't actually correct. So if we cross-reference and check to see if it is, that is important for making sure that the information we're believing or using is accurate and true.
Right. AI has been known to just make things up. It doesn't happen every time, but there are, of course, I'm sure we've all heard about documented instances where AI literally invented facts out of thin air. And there's even a word for it, hallucinate. It's not a vocab word for us today, but I'm sure you've heard of that. Important to know, though, that hallucinate when we're talking about AI is different from when we're talking about human beings hallucinating. Human beings hallucinating is when they see something that isn't there. Like I hallucinated that I saw a pink elephant floating in the air because I was so sick or I had a fever or something like that. But when AI hallucinates, it's not so much that it sees something that isn't there as that it makes up something that isn't there. It makes up facts. So it's kind of, there's some overlap there, but there's also a significant difference between when AI hallucinates and when we hallucinate.
Yes, so be sure to cross-reference, make sure that the information you're getting is correct, and if it's not, then ask AI to come up with not come up with, but to correct itself and give you what is actually correct.
Yes. And Steve has a comment. Toy Story 5, the movie franchise Toy Story. They're making a 5th one. It's coming out soon. This time the story is about will toys get replaced by technology? And Steve is looking forward to that movie. Well, now I'm looking forward to as well, Steve. Thanks for sharing about that. Sounds like a timely storyline for the old-fashioned kind of toys that the Toy Story characters are. See how they deal with technological advance, deal with AI. Toy Story 5, a little free plug for the movie there. Okay, can we look at some early poll results? Just to see here, at least, okay, how often do you use AI? 64% of you, nearly two-thirds of you, at least once a day. And in a way, that answer isn't very surprising.
Mm-hmm.
A few times a week, 9% of you, so not many. A few times a month, 9% of you. Google's fine for me, 18% of you. So there's a significant minority of you that sort of just don't use AI much at all, or use old school Google. And that's interesting to know. Thank you all for participating in the poll. As always, we'll post the results in the more information box so that if you're joining us a few days later after the live stream, you can still see the results of the poll. Okay, well, with that, let's give you guys our discussion question. We got more vocab still to come for you, but let's give you guys our discussion question now, so you can also be chiming in on that as we're talking about the vocabulary. Nice discussion question. I like this one. Nice, broad, open discussion question. How would you like AI to help you? AI, it seems like it can do anything, in a computer, as it were. And so how would you, let's dream for a moment. How would you like AI to help you, Maria?
My short answer would be just to do what I can't do. Well, I think about a conversation that one of my family members had with someone else, and they were like, I don't really like AI if it is doing like the artistic part of things.
Hmm.
So, for example, art is a self-expression, right? Whether it's in fashion, clothes, paintings, architecture. And if AI does that, then it might replace people's artistic expressions or the opportunities for them to express themselves. But this person was saying that if it's not in that way, then he's pretty okay with it.
I see. My answer to this question is sort of similar to that, in that what I would like AI to do, really, if I could have it do anything for me, I would have it do what it's already doing for the most part, which is to sort of act like an instant encyclopedia of everything, where I can just type in a random question or a random word and it will give me information on it, it'll explain it for me, or it'll, give me guidance as to where I can find out more information about it. Yeah, like Maria says, I don't want AI to write songs for me. I don't want it to write papers for me. Or back when I was a preacher in a church, I don't want AI to write sermons for me because it's fun. At least for me, it's fun to write things, to create music, to, not to just write an essay, to write a letter to a friend. There's something, I agree, it's convenient to be able to just press a button if I need to write a letter to my grandmother, say, and it'll write the letter for me and send it, and she'll get it. And, great, that's one less task I have to do. But I like writing a letter to my grandmother. I don't want a machine to do that for me, even if it saves me time. Even that's time I want to spend because it's a way to connect with my grandmother, or it's a way to connect with people who like music, or people who want to hear the sermon or whatnot. So yeah, I like AI if it can just answer questions for me, give me information, but I don't need it to do the work for me. I honestly don't.
Yeah. Well, also, I think when we're referring to AI, we are referring more to like the text it can produce, right?
Yes,
And
although
because
it can
obviously it can
produce
do a lot
music
of
now
things.
too.
Because I would love it if AI could do housework for me. That would be nice.
Yes. No, yes. And what would you like AI to do for you if we start getting into the, three-dimensional, non-digital things that AI can do?
Mop the
Then,
floor, wash
yeah,
the
mop the
dishes,
floor,
clean
wash the
my
dishes,
room.
clean, do the shopping, prepare the meal. Now we're getting into robots, and maybe we'll do a unit on robots sometime in the future if, it's times start to catch up with us and it becomes a topic to discuss. Roxanne, hello, Roxanne. Nice to have you with us. Sometimes AI can be so intriguing. Yes, good word there, intriguing. What does intriguing mean, off the top of your
Yeah,
head?
intriguing is just where it makes you curious and mysterious a little bit, and you want to learn more about it and know more about it.
Right. And Tifa168 says, AI says Gabe is not in studio classroom. That is true. Teacher Gabe was with us for many years and touched a lot of people, including Tifa, but he has moved on, and we do not have him with us anymore. But again, you haven't seen the last of him, I don't think. He's still on the island. He's just not working for us anymore, but he may make a guest appearance now and then, so keep watching.
Yes, and she cross-referenced that information from AI. So good for
Well
you.
done. Yes, a perfect example of cross-referencing. Steve says, I would like AI to make a storyline and give me some great ideas on comic books when making my next chapter of my artwork or brainstorm some ideas. Yeah, I mean, I use that AI for that too, to sort of get me going, to sort of kickstart my imagination. I just don't want it to do all of it for me. You know, it's like, sure, throw me some ideas and I'll start to work with them. And AI is good for that, definitely. Okay, let's go back to some vocabulary for you guys. We've still got a little time left. Um, yeah, let's do, here's a nice simple word for you. Nice short little word here. Aide. A-I-D-E. Aide. That's different from A-I-D, although they're pronounced the same. A-I-D is, well, Maria, what is the difference between A-I-D and A-I-D-E?
Well, okay, I'll talk about AIDE, which is using it as an assistant aid to help you to do something, not replace you, which is actually what you were just talking about,
Right,
to
yes.
help.
Yes, aid is the verb, aid with the E is the noun, someone
Mm-hmm.
who helps, an assistant. And what does this have to do with AI? Well, yeah, like Maria just pointed out, we don't want AI to do the work for us. We want it to help us. We want AI to be our aid. In fact, you got the AI, first two letters of the word aid there. That's the way you can remember it. And that's what an aid is, someone who helps you. It could be a person, it could be a thing, someone who is your aid, helps you in some way, assists you in some way.
Yes, it's a tool that we can use. It's not a person, so it won't replace you or me, but we can find creative, useful ways to put it to use.
Yes, and a related word, just while we're on the subject, augment. A-U-G-M-E-N-T, augment. Maria, what is that?
That means it adds to something, it complements that. So that is what AI can do if you use it in a good way by adding to what you could have originally done and helping you out.
Right, to augment. That's what we want AI to do, to augment what we already can do, not do it for us, not be our substitute, but be our helper, be our source of enhancement for what we're already doing. And Charles Voyager, or perhaps Charles Voyager. Either way, Charles, nice to have you with us. As a software engineer, I use AI to help me coding. Oh, this guy's a professional here. AI gives me useful example code. Great, great. Yeah, many, many ways that AI can help us. But just we want to be careful that it doesn't start to replace us, because if we let it, it will, I think. Anyway, philosophical idea, we'll unpack that another time. But yeah, we are just about out of time, so we don't want to stop. We don't want to go away without giving you at least one idiom. So let's give you a good idiom here related to AI. And don't take this the wrong way, but the idiom is devil's advocate. Devil's advocate. Maria,
Well,
what are we talking?
it describes someone who is arguing for something that maybe many people consider bad or not good. So, for example, if there are a group of parents who are saying kids should not have phones under the age of 12, and someone says, okay, I'm going to play the devil's advocate, then it means they're going to argue for kids having a phone under the age of 12.
Right. And they're not doing it just to make an argument. They're not doing it just to sort of draw attention to themselves. They're saying, hey, wait, maybe there's a case to be made for why kids should have phones under the age of 12 that will help us better understand why they should not. In fact, sometimes playing the devil's advocate can be helpful. It can enrich the discussion. It can enrich the argument by presenting a point of view that perhaps has not been considered that could have value. Sometimes not. Sometimes somebody who plays the devil's advocate is just, as they say on the internet, trolling and is just trying to start an argument, just trying to automatically take the opposite position in an argument just to kind of blow things up and, again, draw attention to themselves. But there is a legitimate way to be devil's advocate, and that is what AI can do. You can go to AI and say, hey, should kids under the age of 12 have phones? And AI will be able to give you a reasoned case why or why not, depending on what you ask. Tell it to make the case for phones for kids under 12 or make the case against. And it can help you, again, understand the larger issue more clearly by playing devil's advocate.
Yes, and if any one of you watching, you're a big fan of AI, then the article that you see in the Advanced magazine would be playing the devil's advocate because it's saying the different dangers and the different downsides to AI. So you can take a look at that article.
Yes, take a look at that article. Tifa, thank you for the compliment. We're a huge fan of you guys learning your English, learning it with us here on Advanced Studio Classroom live stream. But that is, unfortunately, all the time we have for today. 20 minutes goes by just like that, doesn't it? It's amazing. But as we're walking out the door, we're going to throw one more idiom at you. Pandora's box. Ooh, little literary reference here. Pandora's box. Maria?
You guys can.
We're off the air?
No.
Oh, okay. Pandora's box.
Okay, Pandora's box, it tells the story of a box that someone, Pandora, was not supposed to open, but she still opened it, and inside all this evil came out. So I think this could be describing AI as possibly having different dangers, so we want to be careful with how we use it.
Right. Pandora's box is a phrase to describe something that once you start using it, it may have unintended consequences. It means once Pandora opened that box, this is an ancient Greek myth. And it's the explanation for why there's evil and suffering and hardship and disappointment in the world, because originally all these things were put in a box by the gods and given to this woman, the first woman, whose name happened to be Pandora, and she was told not to open it, but curiosity got the better of her, and she opened it, and all the evil and suffering came out, and that's why there's evil and suffering in the world. Not the most philosophically satisfying myth in the world, but that's where the expression comes from. And that's, the way some people think about technological advances like AI. They think, oh, this great and powerful thing, we must be careful, we must not use it because, who knows what may result from the consequences of it. So when we use the phrase Pandora's box, it means something that is very volatile, very powerful, and that you want to be careful with. We want to be very careful with. But you guys want to be careful to come back next time, next Monday, same time, same YouTube channel. When we will be back, we will have another topic for you to practice your English with, interact with us, and grow confident in your English. But for today, I'm Peter.
And I'm Maria.
Saying bye-bye and happy AI. How about that? I think we can use AI right here, can we not?